sharing my love for people, wine, food, and all things made passionately. So today's show, France, not just France specifically, but Bordeaux, France, a little bit more specifically. Now Bordeaux, one of the oldest, most world-renowned wine regions on the planet. I'm sure you've heard of Bordeaux, heard it referred to. Now, it's tricky when you hear Bordeaux because people say, oh yeah, I drank some Bordeaux. Now Bordeaux has to be probably one of the most intimidating topics there is when it comes to wine. I'm going to try and break it down a little bit for you today. If I were to go into all the depth and details Bordeaux has to offer, this episode would be like 3 days long, at least. So I'm going to highlight some of the little specific things. And there's great books and resources out there and everything for you to explore Bordeaux. But I'm going to tell you a little bit of what makes Bordeaux unique and some of the different areas of Bordeaux. So to start, specifically, when it comes to Bordeaux, there's 5 grape varieties. And we're highlighting the red grape varieties of Bordeaux today. So there's 5 grape varieties. Typically you'll see Cabernet Sauvignon, which is pretty much the grape of Bordeaux, or one of, but it's kind of the world-renowned grape of Bordeaux. So you got Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, and Petit Verdot. These are the 5 major varieties that they work with in Bordeaux. And typically, the wines from Bordeaux are blends of these varieties. Now, in the New World, you often see on bottles, it'll say Merlot. So you know it's a Merlot wine. When it comes to Bordeaux, this is where it gets tricky. There's chateaus all over Bordeaux. And the chateaus are in different regions of Bordeaux, which are in different appellations of Bordeaux, which are in different areas of Bordeaux. So the French want us to know that if you're drinking a bottle of, let's say, Cheval Blanc, it's a chateau in the right bank of Bordeaux. If you're drinking a bottle of Cheval Blanc, they expect us to know that it's more of a Merlot forward wine. They don't really label it on their bottles. They're getting better at it, but Bordeaux, or not just Bordeaux, but France in general, the bottles are difficult to read. Hopefully this helps you out a little bit. So Bordeaux is separated by a body of water. So a lot of times you'll hear Bordeaux referred to as left bank or right bank. Now, like I said, varieties of Bordeaux. The left bank, typically you'll see Cab Sauv as the prominent blended variety. So you'll see a lot of Cab Sauv in the blend and then smaller percentages down throughout the 5. They don't necessarily have to use all 5 to make it a true Bordeaux blend. Now, on the right bank, typically you'll see Merlot as the prominent grape variety, and then different percentages all the way down of the remaining 4 varieties, or 5 in total. Now, like I said, it's separated by a body of water. It's called the Gironde, and it feeds into the Atlantic. Now the Gironde, this body of water is fed by 2 major rivers in France. So you've got the Dordogne and you've got the Gironde. Now these 2 rivers feed the Gironde. So when we say left bank or right bank, the left bank consists of one major zone. Now that major zone is just one kind of diagonal street down, kind of north to south in France. You've got Bordeaux, the city of Bordeaux, which is kind of central along the left bank. And above Bordeaux, you've got the Medoc. Now the Medoc can be broken down into a lot of little sub-appellations, things like that. But in general, it's the Medoc. Now just outside of Bordeaux, just north, in the lower part of Medoc is the more famous part of the Medoc, where you find things like Margaux, things like that. More northern, well, I mean, all of Medoc is famous, but you'll find areas like Pauillac, or you'll find chateaus. Now again, Bordeaux's broken down into chateaus and famous producers. So you'll find in Pauillac, you find like Chateau Lafite Rothschild or Chateau Latour. These are all names that are fairly world-renowned in the wine world. If you ever get a chance to taste some of them, you're lucky, because they're not cheap, but they are exquisite wines. Okay, so we got the Medoc on the left bank of Bordeaux. Also on the left bank of Bordeaux, or left bank of the Gironde, you've got Graves, which is further south down the Gironde, right off the left bank of the Gironde River. Now Graves, again, part of the left bank, you'll find chateaus like Chateau Houbrion. There's an example right there, another very famous world-renowned chateau. I ended up with this bottle at one of our local wine festivals. I didn't pay for it, fortunately, but the guy gave it to me. After he opened it, I realized it was spoiled, but it's a 1953. Really cool wine if it was still good. Anyway, so you find that in the area of Graves. Now, on the left bank of Bordeaux, you'll find the soil's more gravelly and big rocks, gravelly, kind of sandy, or alluvial is a good term for it, where it's not compact, not stuck together, it's very loose. Great soil for, like I said, Cab Sauv, which is the variety prominent on the left bank. Right bank, go over there, you've got the Entre deux Mers area, which literally translated means between two rivers. So you've got that area. Then above that, we've got the right bank, which is separated by piles of little independent, let's call them regions. Now in that area you'll find things like Pomerol or Saint-Emilion. Now Saint-Emilion is famous for Merlot, that's kind of their thing. As well, some very famous chateaus you'll find there, Chateau Petrus, extremely famous chateau, or say Chateau Cheval Blanc. If you ever watched the movie Sideways, Cheval Blanc is I think Miles had a 1976 Cheval Blanc, and in the movie he says, "I'm not going to drink any more bleeping Merlot." Well, the irony of the movie, and this is totally wine nerding out on you, but the irony of the movie is the Cheval Blanc is a Merlot forward wine. Anyway, a little bit up there about Bordeaux for you. Now on the right bank, the soils tend to be a bit more clay, lighter sands, less alluvial, more compact, more suited for Merlot. And I mean, hundreds of years, even thousands of years, they've discovered what varieties do really well here, things like that. I guess I can't really say thousands of years, but definitely hundreds of years. They've taken the time to figure out what does well in Bordeaux. So I've got a couple of examples for you today that we can taste from Bordeaux. I've got, like I said, left bank. This is from Graves. It's Chateau Roquetilliade. Let me try this again. Chateau Roquetilliade de Lagrange from Graves. My French is not great, but that's okay. I love the wine. It's a 2005, which was an exceptional year for Bordeaux. And this blend, like I said, they don't often have it on the back. This producer and their labeling, getting better, easier to understand. 50% Cab Sauv, 37% Merlot, and 13% Cab Franc. So they're using 3 varieties in this one. Like I said, from Graves. So left bank, a little bit south of the city of Bordeaux. All right. Now this one, $26. Looking for some value from Bordeaux. $26 is reasonable. Here's the other thing with Bordeaux. It's all based on regions, sub-regions, and chateaus in Bordeaux. And the French expect us to know what chateaus are using which grapes, things like that, which is fine. Labeling could help a little bit for their sales anyway, especially in the New World. But if you ever see bottles sitting on the shelf that say like just Bordeaux or Bordeaux Superior, things like that, typically those are just being produced as kind of basic Bordeaux's. They source fruit from all over Bordeaux, make a blend, and sell it, and they tend to just ship it to the rest of the world because they don't want to drink it there. So don't, if you've ever tasted one of those, there's a fair amount of really nice drinkers of those, but don't write off Bordeaux because the really famous ones are narrowed down to the actual chateau and the region on the bottle. Like I said, this one, you know, it's from Graves, it says Graves on the bottom, and it's got the chateau listed. And again, when you're going down to that much detail, when it comes to vintages, and they can say a good year or a bad year, all the fruit from a certain chateau is the same fruit this year as next year, things like that. So if the weather sucks, then that's going to be a bad year. If the weather and stuff is great, then it's going to be a good year. And it's not fruit from all over the region being muddled together. You're tasting stuff from that little piece of land. Anyway, let's try this one out. 26 bucks from Bordeaux. See what it has to offer. Okay, on the nose, it's got a really neat mineraliness coming through. Oh, I really like that. Like, it just reminds me of kind of flint and dirt. It just smells like flint and dirt, kind of sandy. A lot of like ripe plums coming through. Almost some tobacco leaf. Yeah, kind of leathery. It's the thing with Bordeaux. Very earthy wines is typically what they produce. I'd say some black currant or something hidden in there as well. At 05, if you look at the color, it's starting to get that garnet hue around the outside. It's 5 years old. Let's see what we think. It's got a nice structure to it. It's a bold wine. Nice structure. Big tannins. But the tannins are integrated well. They're not too biting, not too dry. It's nicely balanced. Alcohol's coming through a little bit hot, but not bad. It's a food wine. This wine makes me crave cheese or meat or something like that. But definitely more earthy and savory. It's kind of got definitely like a leatheriness and, like I said, kind of tobacco. As well, it's got like, yeah, just deep plums, things like that coming through, like deep hearty fruits. Soft, deep, kind of ripe fruit. I like it. This is my style of wine. It's very savory, extremely rich, meant to be consumed with food. 26 bucks. I think this is value. You could keep this wine longer. It's an 05. It would still store longer. It's going to age and integrate even more, but it's drinking really nice now. Another thing with big wines like this, especially Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Bordeaux style wines, they're great to be decanted. Let them breathe, let them open up. If you were stuck in a bottle for 10, 15 years, you'd want to breathe and you'd smell pretty awful too. So you need to open up and let your true colors shine. It's got, yeah, neat, almost a slight vegetal, kind of herbaceous thing. It reminds me of almost radishes or something like that. A lot of neat layers to this wine. 26 bucks. Definitely good value. Look for this one. Enjoyable. I'd have to go ahead and give this probably, let's say, I'd say 89.5 points. Let's give it that. It's not quite a 90-point wine. I'd say 89.5 points. I like it. Look for that one. So the next one. Now, this one is from France. Bordeaux, like I said, influences the rest of the world. The rest of the world is trying to make wines similar to Bordeaux, because Bordeaux has stood the test of time and those blends that they use. This one is from Canada, from BC here. It's a Bordeaux blend. Now, in North America anyway, I've said this in a previous episode, if you're doing a Bordeaux blend, typically you're supposed to call it a meritage. Right? Some people like to say meritage, but you're supposed to call it a meritage, which basically means you're using those 5 grape varieties, or a blend of those 5 grape varieties, or any 3 of them, to make your wine. This one, it's from a local producer called Blackwood Lane. Oh, and here's another thing. A lot of people, you could write meritage on the bottle so people know what you're talking about. People will still say, oh, is that your Bordeaux blend? That's what I do. Anyway, they're coming up with fancier names. So if you're at a winery and you see their wine and say it's called, well, in this case, it's the Reference, they call it. I'll show you the bottle. Here's their 06. Blackwood Lane Reference. $89 for this wine. It's up there for BC, Okanagan Fruit. They're located here in the Lower Mainland. But they're calling it the Reference. I've seen other ones that call it their Icon or their Legacy. Or typically when you see a big fancy name like that on a bottle, it tends to mean Bordeaux blend or meritage. So let's try this one out. I've heard good things about these guys. Heard some great reviews about this wine. Let's see what's going on. Okay, it's got a really neat, like, earthiness. Like a herbaceous earthiness. But kind of sweet herbs. Like cloves or something like that. Cloves, maybe a bit of sage. Kind of almost a pepperiness too. But then it's got this brightness to it too. Like, I almost want to say slight violets or something kind of floral. It's got a nice note. Yeah, somewhat floral. It reminds me slightly of nutmeg as well. And a bit of kind of like gamey meatiness to it. Now mixed in with all that stuff that I just put together, it's got some bright fruits coming through too. Like I'd venture to say like black raspberry, something somewhat tart like that. Yeah, black raspberry, cassis or black currant. I like the nose on this one. I'll give them that, that's for sure. Okay. 2006, reference. Okay, the palate on this wine, it has this really interesting tart, like tart finish to it. That's very like food friendly. Kind of bright, almost reminds me of it's just kind of bright tart fruit. Bright tart black fruits like cherry skin. Or bright black, yeah, it's very black cherries coming through on here. But deep black cherries. A bit of black currant. It's even got a little bit of that floral play, almost like, you know those edible flowers or kind of rose petal? Something like that. Got balanced mouthfeel. Very different wine from this one. This one's extremely earthy. This one's more bright, but well blended. As opposed to like the tannin in this one, this has got more of that acidity. Now, tannin and acidity are both things that help wine age well, so I'd love to see this one lie down. See what the acidity does and let it integrate. You know, I spent enough time talking about this one. It's a very nice wine though. Shared this one with friends and family for a treat. Kind of neat, kind of almost butterscotch caramel thing going on too. I like it. Well balanced. You know, I'm gonna have to say it's much more New World in flavor. I'm gonna say 92.5 points. 92, let's say 93 points, yeah. I'll give this one 93 points. It's a good wine. It's up there in points. It's balanced, great mouthfeel. Yeah, good wine. I enjoy it. Anyway, thanks for watching the show today about Bordeaux. Hope you learned something. I'll be highlighting more wine regions of the world coming up. Let me know what you think. I love when you leave comments below. Let me know what you think of the episode. If there's something, and questions too. Say, hey, what were you talking about when you said this? I'd love to answer your questions. I'll get back to you. I'll email you back and we'll chat. I'll email you back on your comments. So thank you so much for watching today, and we'll see you on the next episode.